Hello folks, I am back and I'm here to talk about two firearms. These two firearms that I consider to be the most underrated firearms on the market today. However, both of these firearms have been upgraded a bit in the last couple months or so. And before I get to that, I want to mention about Core Essentials. Core Essentials makes a lot of belts and battle belts, daily wear belts, dress belts, EDC belts, and other accessories such as a backpack. You want to check out my video on the backpack. I think it's a really cool item to have to carry your personal needs. Also, you can check out, before I tell you to check out the next product, I need to give you my discount code. It is Keenan10. It's spelled Keanon with the number 10, and it's all together. Also, I want you to check out Calculated Kinetics. They make a variety of firearms, accessories, parts, and particularly their optic plates. I use their optic plate on my Walther PDP, and it works out fine. And you can use that discount code as KG2024. And last disclaimer I have to make out here is to YouTube. YouTube, my channel is strictly for adults only. You've been sending me nasty grams. So understand that my channel is strictly for adults only. So let's get straight down to it. The two firearms that I consider that are the most underrated. Let's start with the CZ. The CZ, now this is my original CZ P10F, and I'm going to show clear for YouTube. And as you see, it's an empty firearm. So this is my P10F. My P10F, I got this several years ago when they first came out because this was their first full-size P10 that they had. They had the P10C originally. And if at that time, the P10 and P10C and P10Fs were not optic ready. So I sent this out to Cajun Gunworks, and I had it milled for this Holosun 507C V2. But I also, for aesthetic looks, I had Cajun Gunworks put these little cuts in here. So this is not a standard look, but it is a good look as well. It's for aesthetics only. I did nothing to this firearms as far as, let's say, any type of trigger weight, trigger poundage. This is in its stock configuration. Like I said, everything else up here is for aesthetics. One of the things when I first got my first P10C, I didn't like it very much for a couple reasons. One of the reasons was that it had a dual magazine release, one on this side, one on the other side. And it would get stuck on both sides, and it was not operable. The other thing I didn't like was the texture on the outside was extremely abrasive. So that was the other problem I had. So I couldn't carry it, under a t-shirt very well. And I just wasn't happy because of those couple things. Now, the P10C was a very good shooter. It's like in that competition side of it against the Glock 19. They were both competing at that point, and that firearm was considered the Glock killer at that time. Later on, CZ put out the P10F for a full size. And just so you know, that this is a legal amount in my jurisdiction for magazines. So this had great magazine capacity as well as the full size grip. And that was a complaint with the C size because a lot of people have bigger hands. And this is a very good hand size for me. One of the other things is I usually use the largest back strap. So it already has a low borax anyway, but I wanted a little bit, the grip helps me to get way up in here like I want to. So this firearm is really sold at a very decent price, whether you get the C or whether you get the F. And they also came up with other variations. For a while there, they did have a version that was 45. I think it's 45 ACP. I think it's discontinued. But for the most part, this is an outstanding firearm, and people seem to walk by it. I work at a firearms store, and people just think about Glock, or they want to look at the Canics, and they just walk by this. And this thing is very durable, and it is military tested with the militaries out in Europe. So this has been battle tested. So these firearms right here are very, very good. So I did not know what CZ was going to do in the future, because I didn't really see a lot of sales of these. So what they did was, it maybe a little bit later, they came out with this particular firearm, which is called the ported version. A lot of that's all the rage nowadays. They have the ports right now on different firearms. A lot of other companies have done it. So you see here with the ports, and they also changed a little bit on the serrations toward the rear, because there is now an optic plate on here. And they also have serrations on the top here, which wasn't standard. Remember, with this one, I had these cuts put in. So now, as you see right here, now they have like serrations on the top of the slide to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, instead of having an aging look. I have not shot the ported versions, but I have people trying to buy these almost every day. They're calling for this. It's now a hot item. Well, my thing is, it was already a good firearm without the ports altogether. So now that we have a thing with ports, now the firearm is popular. If you find a P10C or P10F that is not ported, I still recommend it. This has well over 1,500 rounds and is still going strong. And the most important thing, I have never had a malfunction with this firearm. I use several different types of ammo, and it feeds very well. One of the things is I noticed with this particular firearm, and I'm going to have to do something here, because to do a show of magic, if you look at this barrel and look at how it chambers, this thing is very beefy compared to all the other Striker Fire firearms. Let me see if I can get it focused right. There we go. So this right here is very beefy. And it's going to show for good lockup, and as well as some durability. So that's one of the things I've noticed. I weighed this against my Glock barrel, and it's a little bit heavier when I weighed it. So that is going to be what I consider the most, sorry about that. So that is what I consider one of the most underrated firearms out on the market today. So let's go with number 2. I said it was only going to be 2 firearms that were underrated. And here we go. The second firearm I'm talking about is going to be this one. Now, this is going to be the Beretta 92X Performance. Now, this was the original one that came out. and it was very much like looked at and sought after for a little bit. One of the features is, one of the things about this particular firearm, to me, it is it's probably their best Beretta out of the 92 series, in my opinion. I think is the very best. One of the reasons I say that is it's aesthetically pleasing. It's using what they call the Brigadier slide. It's a thick, beefy slide made for durability. You know, earlier Berettas had some problems with cracking in that area, but this is a beefy slide for durability. Couple things. This firearm was made for competition. Even though it does have the Picatinny rail here, it was made for competition. They did come out with another version of this called the 92X Defense. And the reason why is they took this Picatinny rail off to make it a little bit lighter because it had to meet a certain weight requirement for certain types of competition. So there's a maximum weight. I'm not into competition shooting where I know all the rules, but my understanding is that this Picatinny rail was deleted so it can meet the qualifications or the rules of that particular competition. So just so you're clear, since we're talking about weight, this thing weighs roughly about 40 ounces. It is probably the heaviest firearm that I own that's a double action, single action. One of the interesting things about this is, like I said, this is a heavy firearm. If you can see inside here, it is a little bit dirty because I've been shooting it a little bit more than usual. There are these two little circles here. Well, those two little lines inside, they are areas where you can use a Allen wrench and to adjust the trigger. One adjustment is for the reset. The other one is for how smooth you can pull it or your poundage to pull. So that is one of the unique things about this. The trigger is fully adjustable. So, for example, see all this right here from this distance, and then there's the break right here. By the way, it's extremely smooth trigger. You can adjust it where it can probably start from this position or another position. The other thing is, as far as the reset, this reset is very good. You see that reset there. So it is adjustable for your needs in that way. One of the other things is on your typical Beretta, you have your takedown lever. This lever is so you can take the firearm apart. You press in this little button here, and then you would swivel it down. But what they did in upgrading this, the standard model, they didn't have this angled. It was basically more or less flat. So on these newer models, what they do is they have it so you can use this as more like a thumb rest to keep both thumbs forward. And another difference with from the original is you could see that the slide release or slide lock, depending on who you're talking to, if you press, it's at such a good angle that you can use your thumb and release the slide like that. This is a double action, single action pistol, but however, you can use this in a cocked and locked fashion like a 1911. So it's safety here. It will not fire until you move down the safety lever, and it will go allow that hammer to drop once it's depressed. And the thing about it is ambidextrous. The magazine release, you can switch it from one side to the other. But what's great about it is this checkering right here is really good, so you can get a good feel. It protrudes out really good, so whenever you hit your magazine release, it pretty much shoots it out very well. So like I said, it is reversible on either side. One of the things, while we're going through this, you notice these grips here. These are not the standard grips on this firearm. Originally, it comes with what they called the Vertec grip. So it has regular flat panels. It comes with two sets of grips. The standard, which will make it flat, and there's no back piece in the back. So that Vertec grip, if you're looking at this is what they call the Vertec grip style. The Vertec grip style is made like a 1911. But if you don't like that Vertec grip style, you can put on the secondary grip that comes with it, and you'll have that traditional Beretta hump. Now, I didn't like the Vertec grip because, as you see here, these lines here, it was not grippy enough for me, so I was not happy with it. So what I did was I put the other Beretta grips on there, and the original Beretta grips were too slick, and I didn't really like that grip. So I reached out to Lock Grips, ordered these, and these had the perfect grip. With the checkering and the smoothness right here, that checkering gives you a grip in here, and you also have that good grip from Lock Grips. Now, I don't remember what exact model this one is, but if you look at the texture here and that swirl pattern here, so when you do have your hand in that area, or when your hand is coming across here, it gives a very good grip. And the smooth back right here. So this is a two-piece grip that is very, very good. So the biggest thing is I'm showing you all these features with the adjustable rear sight, etc. But how does it shoot? Well, I think this shoots very well, extremely well. And I've said that this can compete with the Shadow 2. And a lot of you guys know that I am a big CZ guy. And I have Shadow 2s, I had the TS2s. And this shoots just as accurate, just as good. And I would say I would put this in that category. Their competition team with JJ Rakaza, he uses this in the competition, and he shoots it lights out with this thing. I believe he won a championship. Don't quote me on that, but I believe he might have won a championship in whatever division he was in. But comparing this to a CZ, a lot of people think that's a stretch, but it is what it is. This thing shoots accurate, it shoots fast, and it shoots pretty flat. So with that said, one of the last things I want to mention is, remember I had talked about grip. This is the new version of the CZs. This is called, the new version of the Berettas. Not I got CZ on the brain, but this is the new versions of the Berettas. They now come with a different grip, and I think they understood that their original grips were not up to par. So these are the new standard grips for the new Black Series. And also one of the other upgrades is they're optic ready as well. So with that said, what do you think of my two underrated firearms? What do you think? With that said, happy shooting, stay safe, #2A.